Just going to read a quick paragraph. What should intrigue Treliving is the number of quality goaltenders available this summer. Connor Hellebuck, Carter Hart, Thatcher Demko, and Jeremy Swayman could all be had for the right price. Juuse Saros from Nashville may be the biggest prize of all. For the right mix of draft picks and prospects, he has 2 years left at a very affordable $5 million average annual value. The Leafs could conceivably go any route they choose in that regard, but it would most likely mean giving up one of their core 4 players.
Yes. So really, is trading in a salary of Willie Nylander at $10 million, or let's throw Marner in there too at 10.9 for a Saros at $5 million plus maybe a $5 million defenseman.
Right.
The better route.
You know, it's the first time that I've heard something in a potential trade of the core 4 where my ears kind of went, You know, like, because in every deal you think about, it's like, well, if you trade Marner or Willie or whatever, you feel like you're going to get back a prospect and a draft pick and a promising guy. I think to the Taylor Hall trade, when they traded him, you get back Adam Larson, and it's like, he might turn into a star. And it's like, or he might turn into a second pair guy. This is interesting because Juuse Saros is an established, one of the best goalies in the league.
He's in the wheelhouse of winning right now. He's cheap for 2 years. And I assume if you do go that route, and it will cost you a first rounder, a top pick, maybe even a roster player.
Okay.
That you're gonna have him for the next 2 years at $5 million, and then you're gonna want to re-sign him at whatever market bears and where the cap is.
How he plays.
You can really worry about that later.
Yeah.
But he comes in and he helps you win from a different perspective.
It kicks the door open for the window.
The front end didn't work.
Yeah.
Right? Between Nylander, Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and even Ryan O'Reilly now. Maybe it's core 5 if you look at it from last March into the playoffs. 5 didn't work up front. Now, does Brad come in and say, no, you really win this time of year from the back end out?
It's an interesting thought because, like, if you know, I believe that the great players in the NHL almost always get their cup or get around it, you know, to the cup finals or whatever. Like, there's not many guys in history. I think Lindros is one of the few, maybe Marcel Dion, but mostly the best players find their way through. Are Connor Hellebuck and Juuse Saros in that class of guys who at some point are going to drag a team to the cup final just on their excellence? You could talk me into that. I believe that to some extent. And Saros, to me, you know, that interests me. Now, if you're Barry Trotz, are you going to come in and have your first trade as a GM be to trade a guy who's been nominated for the Vezina Trophy multiple times on a cheap deal?
It's not an easy one for him coming in 5 minutes on the job, but I would think he'd know his team better than anyone in that organization, even though he's been gone for the last few years. I don't think they're in a wheelhouse right now where they can recover anytime soon. I really don't.
And I imagine he's got to see that. Like, Duchesne's not getting better. Ryan Johansson's not getting better. A lot of the guys who make a lot of their money not getting better. You just traded Ekholm. Like, they are pretty clearly in a rebuild coming up here.
And they've got a kid, I think it's a Russian prospect, too.
Why did they get rid of Tolvanen? What a dumb one that was. Anyway.
I think they've got a good prospect, a goaltender in the minors.
Yeah, Askarov. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's legit.
Okay, would he be a year or two away?
I mean, he might be next year ready.
With Milwaukee, did you know?
Yeah, I think he's probably next year ready. So, to at least play, whether he's great or not, who knows? But
I mean, we just talked yesterday about Philadelphia and Daniel Briere making a bold move.
Yeah.
Like, guys got to come in and make fast decisions. And I think Brad's in that position where he can't just, I think, come in and necessarily play it safe between Samsonov and Joseph Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that won't be the ultimate decision for them, but this robust list of grade A goaltenders right now, which we know isn't what it used to be.
But it also helps in the year when everyone's going, it doesn't matter who's your goalie. Look at Aiden Hill. Like, those guys might get cheaper because of that. Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
So, know you're a big Marner guy and, think he's excellent and believe in him, and many in Toronto do. Let's say in a hypothetical that he were the guy to go for Saros.
Yeah.
Who has to attach more to that trade? Marner also has 2 years left on his deal at just under 11. Marner is elite. He's been voted the best right winger in the league 2 of the last 3 years. Does Nashville have to throw in more, or because Saros is so cheap, does that offset some of it?
I would think Marner has more value than Saros straight up.
I do too. So
absolutely. 100-point guy.
Yeah.
Top winger.
25 years old.
Yes.
26, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's so I would be curious what that would look like.
There's 30 games. Saros doesn't play.
Yeah, great point. And if you're Nashville, like that's tempting. So then I wonder with Nylander, if you have to do like a sign and trade, if they have to know that they get him, because that to me is a more 1-for-1 type of trade, but they would have to know that they have Nylander under contract beyond that to make that trade probably. So can you sign Willie to 9 times 6 and trade him? Or?
You got to understand too, and I don't protest to know Nashville's salary cap off the top of my head real well here, but you're also, you're offering them $11 million. You're taking 5 back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the math works for Nashville, even if it was straight up.
Yeah. They got some guys that they could happily part with. Again, I named those 2.
You want to throw Josi in there too?
No, let's have a chit chat. They can have Marner and Nylander if you want to do that. Josi, Saros for Marner and Nylander. Talk amongst yourselves.